Being asked, though, he would offer himself. He would say, if you are really afraid, really anxious, I shall pass the entrance examination for you. Well, he passed the examination for one person, then for another, and then they say members of the board noticed that something was wrong. That some awkward beggar kept coming again and again. It was in Kretinga before the war. He started to go to the Franciscan secondary school, where he met my brother. It was in 1939 or 38. My brother made friends with him, brought him home frequently, and we used to have dinner together. And our father was a teacher of that school. He taught mathematics, and Mikutis was one of his pupils. I do not remember what they talked about. I do remember only that when Mikutis came and spoke, the conversation used to turn very serious. I find it strange now that he was only a teenager by that time, but somehow everybody used to be all attention. We used to make vows. There was an altar of St. Anthony, and we used to circumambulate it on our knees. We would circumambulate it either separately or together. He was always in a hurry. Why are you in such a hurry? We cannot keep up with you. Once we did that after the church festival. The floor of the church was unswept and pebbles stuck into my knees. Not used Dennis's. Perhaps because he wore trousers. At home I had to pick those pebbles out. There would be winter flowers, a thick layer of snow, wooden fences cracking. We would go for a walk. Well, we would go among snowdrifts, and he also liked to frolic then. All of us were young and merry. Shall we leave our imprints in a snowdrift? We shall. And then we would suddenly drop into a snowdrift, and look, whose imprint was clearer. When it was all over, since I and the forester's daughter lived near the station, so we all went home very gaily. Justinas went with us. We passed our house and were already near Luda's house, a beautiful one with a garden, and their family was large, some 10 children, when we saw soldiers around the house and a truck standing.
Jų buvo šeima didelė, liktai apie 10 vaikų. Ir pareinam mes, namas buvo dailus sodelis, pareinam ir žiūrim, jau matom iš tolo, kad apie namą yra kareiviai ir stovi mašina. Vienu žodžiu. Ir tada, žinoma, Liuda labai įsigandė.
Then Luda was frightened, of course. All of us were frightened, and we ran to the house and saw that they were already loading the family, children and things onto the truck. It was a very painful moment. After all this parting feast, after all our entertainment, and we were simply shocked. Justinas too, he stood silent. We helped them as we could. Everybody, of course, was crying there. And then the truck moved away, leaving an empty house, open doors, and they were gone. And so we stood scared to death. And the most horrible thing there was that it was the first deportation, the very first, about which we had no idea and did not even imagine that such things are on the whole possible. And these scandal cars into which they were packed stood for some time. And we stood too, Justinas crying bitterly.
Эта ночь непоправима, а у вас еще светло. У ворот Иерусалима солнце черное взошло. Солнце желтое страшнее, баю-баюшки баю. В светлом храме Иудеи хоронили мать мою. Благодати не имея и священства лишены, в светлом храме Иудеи отпевали прах жены. И над матерью звенели голоса израильтян. Я проснулся в колыбели, черным солнцем осиян.
А ты знаешь, как
Do you know how a man is killed? And what can he do when he is killed? I said, I do not know that. Then Justinas said, in 1942, when they were hanging Jews in a town square, some 10 people on the same gallows at a time. We all were lined up, and when they had already nooses fastened around their necks, just before the last act, I felt that something should happen. But nothing happened.
Он сказал, я еще чувствую, что сейчас должно что-то произойти. Говорит, ничего не происходило. Тогда, говорит, я не помню,
Then, though I do not remember how it happened, but I left the line, turned to my people and cried, "What are you doing here? How can you allow all this to happen?" And then I said to the Germans, "What are you doing? How can you do all this?" Then silence fell. Everybody was terrified. And the officer started to walk towards me. He pulled out his revolver and was approaching me. Dead silence fell. And I realized that he wanted me to agree to be killed. I realized instantly that I had to refuse him with all my soul.
Что я должен ему всем существом сказать отказ. Я не согласен.
I do not agree to be killed. I fixed my eyes on him. He looked at me. His glance was very determined because he had to do that. But I kept looking at him. I refused him completely. And he turned and walked away.
Понял, что я ему полностью ответил отказом. И он, говорит, отошел, повернулся и ушел.
From that time on, I'm absolutely sure that any man can be killed only then when he does not oppose his death. And even if he faces you, determined to kill, and you don't feel helpless, he's not going to shoot until he gets your agreement.
Твое согласие, иначе он это вообще совершать не может.